Interested and serious are not the same thing, even though they can look almost identical in the beginning. A man can be interested in you, genuinely enjoy your company, find you attractive, want to see you again, without ever being serious about building something real with you. And that gap between interest and seriousness is exactly where so many women end up confused, hurt, or stuck waiting for something that was never actually coming. Today, we're breaking down 4 specific signs that reveal genuine seriousness, not just casual interest. These are rooted in psychology, not guesswork. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, let's clarify the actual difference between interest and seriousness. Interest is about the present moment, enjoying someone's company, feeling attraction, wanting more time together right now. Seriousness is about orientation toward the future, a willingness to invest, plan, and commit real resources like time, vulnerability, and reputation into building something lasting. A man can feel the first without ever developing the second, which is exactly why relying on how attentive or excited he seems is such an unreliable way to gauge where things are actually headed. This distinction matters more than most relationship advice acknowledges, because interest and seriousness genuinely can coexist with completely different endpoints. A man can be wildly interested, texting constantly, making time for you, seeming genuinely happy in your presence, and still be entirely unwilling to take on the risk, vulnerability, and accountability that seriousness requires. This isn't always deception. Sometimes it's simply that he hasn't decided yet, and interest alone doesn't require him to decide. Seriousness does. The 4 signs we're covering today all share one thing in common. Each one requires him to take on some kind of real risk or cost specifically, because he sees this as more than casual. Let's start with the first. The first sign is this: he brings up where things stand on his own without you having to ask. A lot of advice tells women to just ask directly what a man wants, and while directness is healthy, there's something important in noticing whether he ever brings it up himself. A man who's serious doesn't need to be cornered into clarity. He volunteers it, because ambiguity actually bothers him too. He doesn't want you wondering, and he doesn't want to risk losing you to uncertainty. This might sound like him saying, unprompted, "I just want you to know I'm not seeing anyone else," or "I think about us as exclusive. Is that how you see it too?" The content matters less than the fact that he initiated it. Psychologically, this reflects something significant. He's willing to risk an uncomfortable, vulnerable conversation because the alternative, you being unsure or assuming the worst, matters more to him than his own comfort. A man who's only casually interested tends to avoid this conversation entirely. Often hopping the relationship stays comfortably undefined for as long as possible, because undefined relationships come with fewer expectations and less accountability. There's also a subtler version of this sign worth watching for. Does he get uncomfortable or evasive when the topic naturally comes up? Or does he engage with it directly, even if the answer isn't fully settled yet? A man who's serious, even if he's not ready to make grand promises, will still engage honestly with the question rather than deflecting it with humor or vague reassurance every time it surfaces. The second sign is one that's easy to miss, because it happens when you're not even there to witness it. He protects your reputation and speaks well of you to other people. This shows up in how he talks about you to his friends, his family, even casual acquaintances. Does he introduce you with genuine warmth and pride, or does he stay vague and noncommittal, almost avoiding categorizing the relationship at all when others ask? Does he defend you if someone makes an offhand joke or comment about your relationship, or does he laugh along, distancing himself from taking you seriously in front of others? Psychologically, this matters because how someone talks about you when you're not in the room reveals their private, unfiltered view of the relationship, without the performance that can sometimes show up when you're physically present. A man who's serious doesn't just treat you well to your face. He protects how you're perceived even when there's nothing to gain from it. Because on some level, your reputation has become tied to his own sense of loyalty and respect for you. This is also why hearing secondhand, through mutual friends or overheard comments, that he speaks about you with genuine respect and warmth tends to mean so much. It's evidence of consistency, not performance. There's a useful mental test here, even if you can't always observe it directly. If a friend or family member asked him, out of the blue, what he thought of you, would his answer be warm and specific, or vague and noncommittal? Serious men tend to answer that kind of question with genuine detail. They've actually thought about what they appreciate because you've genuinely occupied real space in their mind, not just their calendar. The third sign is this. He stays present, not avoidant, when things get emotionally difficult. Casual interest tends to thrive in easy, low-stakes conditions, fun dates, good moods, light conversation. But real seriousness gets tested specifically in harder moments. When you're stressed, upset, going through something difficult, or even when you're short-tempered or not at your best. A man who's only interested for the easy parts often pulls back exactly when things get emotionally heavier, because the relationship, for him, was mostly about the fun, uncomplicated version of being together. A man who's genuinely serious does the opposite. He doesn't need you to be your best self at all times to stay engaged. He shows up during a hard week, sits with you through a bad mood without taking it personally or disappearing, and treats difficulty as something to move through together rather than something that threatens his interest. This willingness to stay present through discomfort is one of the clearest signals that he's building something durable, not just enjoying a highlight reel. This matters because every real relationship eventually includes hard seasons. If a man can only show up for the good parts, that tells you something important about how far his investment actually extends. It's worth noting this isn't about expecting perfect emotional handling every single time. Nobody manages every hard moment gracefully, and that's not the standard. What matters is the pattern. Does he generally move toward difficulty with you or away from it? Over enough time and enough hard moments, that pattern becomes very hard to hide. No matter how good someone is at managing first impressions. The fourth and final sign is this. He starts thinking and talking about practical, logistical realities of a shared future, not just romantic or hypothetical ones. It's easy and relatively low risk to say vaguely romantic things about the future. I could see us traveling together someday, or we'd make a great team. Those comments feel nice, but they cost very little to say. What's far more telling is when a man starts factoring you into practical, unglamorous considerations, asking about your schedule when he's planning something months out, discussing how holidays might work between both families, being upfront and transparent about his finances or work situation, because he recognizes it might eventually affect you both. Psychologically, this kind of practical thinking requires him to have already mentally committed to a longer timeline. People don't typically think through logistics for relationships they don't expect to last. If a man is willing to have unglamorous, detail-oriented conversations about how a shared life might actually function, not just how it might feel, that reflects real seriousness, because it shows he's not just imagining a feeling, he's beginning to plan an actual structure. This is often the sign that separates a relationship that stays exciting but directionless from one that's genuinely moving toward something lasting. It's worth pointing out that not every couple needs to have these conversations early, and there's no fixed timeline for when practical talk should appear. The key signal isn't the topic itself, but the willingness. When these subjects come up naturally, does he lean in and engage thoughtfully, or does he change the subject, make a joke, and steer things back toward lighter territory? That willingness to sit in the unglamorous, practical parts of a shared future is often a far more honest predictor of longevity than any romantic moment could be. Let's bring it all together. 1. He defines things without being pushed, volunteering clarity because ambiguity bothers him too. 2. He protects your reputation when you're not around, revealing his private, unfiltered view of the relationship. 3. He stays present during your hard moments, not just the easy, highlight reel parts. 4. He thinks and talks in practical, long-term terms, logistics, not just romantic hypotheticals. Each of these signs shares the same underlying thread. Seriousness requires risk, effort, and follow-through that casual interest simply doesn't require. Interest can stay comfortable and low stakes indefinitely. Seriousness can't. It has to show up in the harder, less glamorous moments too. It's worth saying clearly, none of these signs need to show up all at once or immediately to mean something. Seriousness tends to build gradually, the same way trust does. What matters most is the direction. Are these signs slowly appearing and strengthening over time? Or is the relationship staying stuck in comfortable ambiguity no matter how much time passes? That trajectory, more than any single moment, tends to tell the real story. If this video helped you tell the difference between real seriousness and casual interest, that's exactly why this channel exists. We explore the hidden psychology behind love, attraction, and human behavior, the patterns that are true, but rarely explained clearly anywhere else. Knowing the difference between interest and seriousness isn't about becoming suspicious of every relationship. It's about giving yourself the clarity to invest your time and heart where it's genuinely being matched. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we release new psychology and relationship insights every week. And I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 4 signs stood out most to you? Drop a comment and let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.